Kaya Bizz with Gugulethu Mfuphi
on Kaya 959. On the street, on the air.
Yep, we're on the street, we're on the air. Quite frankly, we are everywhere, especially if you heard our conversation with Gary just a moment ago, taking a look at the business side of radio, as today is World Radio Day. And we gave you some insight that essentially this is where many of us are able to access radio as a platform and information sharing platforms, given that we live in a digitally enabled society. But speaking about digital enablement, that obviously speaks to a skill set that we have to have, right? Access to information obviously means that information and data needs to be shared. And tonight, we're going to share the findings of South Africa's largest working woman report, which was released today, shedding some light and challenges around the opportunities that also surround female participation in the workforce. And this provides significant recommendations for business to address our skills shortage by literally tapping into the pool of underutilized females in the talent pool. Let's talk about this with Phillipa Geard, founder of RecruitMyMom. Phillipa, such a pleasure to have you and welcome back to the show, ma'am.
Thank you, Gugu. It's always such a pleasure to chat to you and to be back on Kaya. So thank you for having me tonight.
Thank you. I guess first things first, when I read this research note as well as report, I sat back thinking this is actually very true. We have a heightened level of women within the population in South Africa, and fundamentally we're not adequately ensuring that we tap into their skill set. And then I sat back and I thought to myself, hold on, but are we adequately skilled as women right across the spectrum? And maybe that's a good point for us just to start as we contextualize the findings from the report.
Yeah, that's a great place to start. And I think that putting the report into context is very important. So as you said earlier, you know, we've got the skills shortage in South Africa, the second biggest economic growth crisis to load shedding. And then the data is really interesting around female talent. So we have more female graduates graduating from tertiary institutions than men. Across Africa, we have 47% of all graduates now being female in the STEM skill sets. And just taking the 2023 matric results, 66% of all the distinctions were achieved by women. So what we're seeing globally, not just in South Africa, is you've got this large entrance of a female workforce entering the workplace that is skilled, that is educated from a tertiary point of view, and this will continue to grow. And the context of this report, both now and in the future, is to say, business, this change is happening in the workplace, and are you ready for it, and do you know how to adapt to this growing female workforce? And in that context is what we'd written this report around, which was we went and interviewed over 2,600 skilled women in South Africa to really understand what it is that they needed in the workplace at this time.
And let's unpack some of that. What are the fundamental needs that we have as women in the workplace?
Well, what's fascinating is that there's so many misconceptions around working women and working mothers in particular. And some of the findings that we came out of this report is that 98% of the women that we interviewed said, we want to work. Yes. So if anybody had any misconceptions around the fact that women do or don't want to work, the reality is 98% want to work. And of that, 78% actually want to grow in their careers. So we know that they're ambitious. We also know that 80% of women in this country have dependents, of which 38% are sole income earners. So we have a large number of sole income earners and single-headed female households. In fact, in South Africa, we've got more female-headed households than we have male-headed households. Sure. And so the need, the number one need, when people are either looking for a job or looking for benefits, is salary. For women is they are financially driven. One, because of the dependency side of things, all the dependents that rely on them. Secondly, they need to contribute towards family finances, and then a sense of contribution back to society, which is really interesting. And then, Gugu, if I can, is just touch on some other really interesting insights that have come out of the report, which was that we have seen the debate around, should we go back into office? Is it hybrid? Is it remote? Where do we land? And the report unpacks it a little bit more into demographics. But what we see overall is that the majority of women want to work in a hybrid manner. And that's despite dwelling type, despite age, despite many factors, the majority of women are not necessarily looking for remote work. They're definitely not looking for full-time in-office work, but they ideally are looking for hybrid. And that's because of this need and to balance what is, the demands of the female household, especially where they are heading it up. And then also what took us by surprise, we've seen this post-COVID, but now the data is really showing it, is that the majority of women are wanting full-time hours. 55% of women are looking for full-time hours in their work, largely being driven by a financial need.
And I think that tells us something, right? We're not just about brunches and mimosas, though that's great on a weekend.
Yes.
But actually showing that we're happy to contribute a full day's worth of work and sometimes even going beyond the call of duty. And this is really important because it does speak to a level of productivity, because employment is one thing, but productivity is ultimately what drives the growth of the business, the growth of the individual, and of course, sustainability in the economy. Do we find that through the report and maybe even feedback from employers that women perhaps do have a heightened level of productivity in the workplace?
So, Gugu, I don't have any specific data to support on productivity, but what we do know is that what employers value about women is that they're highly committed, particularly if they have dependents. So there's a level of commitment that they get, and then high levels of collaboration, attention to detail, loyalty, and they're skilled. I mean, you just have to look at the tertiary education numbers to realize just how many women are coming out with the skill sets that business needs. And so we really are trying to highlight through this report, which can be downloaded in full from our website, that business should take note of a future workforce that can be and is willing to be highly productive, provided you pay them well. We looked at the barriers to career growth, and number one by far was lack of internal opportunities, and then pay discrimination came up. And we know that the pay gap between male and female in this country still exists, and so women are looking for fair pay and equal wages.
Definitely. I'm so glad that you highlight this. And for those who've just joined us, we are in conversation with Phillipa Geard, who's the founder of RecruitMyMom. If you don't know them just yet, log on to their website, recruitmymom.co.za, a recruitment agency that offers skilled jobs for skilled moms in a variety of aspects. And this report that we're reflecting on is one called the Working Woman Report, released today, giving us some findings into how best we actually need to tap into the skills force of women to address the country's skills shortage. And one of the other insights that I really, really was intrigued by, Phillipa, is probably one that we often hear about most often when it comes to women, pregnancy and parenthood. That women's careers get derailed by pregnancy and parenthood, and that even at times it affects their levels of productivity. But from what I'm reading here, career pauses are actually what we're looking at, and that doesn't always have a significant impact on the retention of women in the workplace, because, as you've mentioned, most women have expressed that they want to work, more so when they have dependents.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that, our data shows that 49% of women have had a career pause in their life, and 95% of them return to work. And there's a stigma around having gaps on one CV, or there's a perception that if a woman has taken a break to either raise her family or to look after her parents or other relations, etc., is that her skill sets will become redundant. But that's not what we're finding. We're finding that they're wanting to come back to work. They are aspiring to do well in their careers. And what our recommendation in the report is if you're willing to engage them through those pauses, is that you can take them from being junior and middle management all the way through to senior management without them having to leave. And second of all, if you're looking to bring in really good senior talent, is bring them in after a career pause and give them the training and development that they might need just to upskill, not around all the experience they've already garnered through the years before, but just on whatever the latest technology is. And we've just seen women fly when business does this. And so taking a fresh look at career pauses and not seeing them as a negative, but seeing them again as an opportunity for businesses that are honestly crying out and saying, hey, number 2 crisis for us for economic growth is skills shortages.
I'm so glad you mentioned this, because it also does speak to that networking, the importance of coaching and support that is offered in the workplace, especially after a career pause or just through the duration of a woman's career. Help us understand how you viewed the importance of the removal of the barriers to career advancements.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely. I mean, it's essential. The number 2 barrier, which I think I may have said was pay discrimination, is actually lack of mentorship and networking that women perceive as being a barrier to career development. And I think that again, well, I don't think that if business just put in formal structures to enable women to be mentored, enable them to find formal networks in which to engage, they will thrive and they'll be highly productive and excellent employees. And it's, it really is, and I really do appreciate you having me on air, Gugu, because this is really about let's break down the misconceptions out there around working women and working mothers, because they're serious about their careers and they actually can provide you with an incredible opportunity for your business if you want to grow with good talent.
100%. I'm so glad that you mentioned this, and I have long been a client of your platform, and I love the work that you do, and of course much of the research that you're able to pull out on the back of the impact that you have on many South African women. And what I'm also keen to understand, not related to the report, Phillipa, but just the impact that you've witnessed, that a heightened focus on employment and skills development of women really has on South African households. Because it's great to take a look at the macroeconomic dynamics as we have, but understanding the influence on their societies, on their homes, on their own livelihoods, surely
yeah,
must
absolutely.
be feeling fulfilled. Right?
No, it's enormous. I'm generally a person who speaks much about hope and positivity, but I can't not touch on the whole gender-based violence issue in South Africa. And, if a woman is financially independent, she's able to get out of situations where otherwise she wouldn't be able to get out of. And the feeling of being able to contribute to the household finances, to be able to help the partner. The statistic around women who are supporting their partners, I think it's 23% of mothers are supporting their partners in South Africa, so their husbands or their partners. Just the sense of self-worth, confidence, economic worth, and then ultimately contribution to our economy is enormous. Spending power on children. We know that when women have money in their hands, they spend it on children, they spend it on the household, they generally will spend it on good things. And that's good for everybody. It's good for society. And so the impact is enormous.
100%. Phillipa, long may the success and the influence and impact you have on the livelihoods of South African women and their families last. Continue being a champion for change in the country. We truly appreciate your time. Well, that was Phillipa Geard, who's the founder of RecruitMyMom, joining us this evening as we unpacked the Working Woman Report. And I think it's important that we have these conversations, right? Because, again, it doesn't necessarily negate the need and the importance of men to be employed, but it helps us contextualize the culture within which women are keen and able to be economically productive. So, yeah, I'm tempted to go there and say sometimes there's a lot of slander that we're looking for the easy way out, that we just want to breakfast, have mimosas, and like I say, that's fine on a weekend too, and maybe on during the week, but we also are very keen and able and eager to be economic participants in the economy. And it's not just for our own benefit, but as has always been mentioned and has been proven by several research notes, is that when you offer a woman a place of employment, when you offer a woman access to capital, that capital multiplies through further investment in other people, whether through her family, her community, but ultimately that rand, that dollar does flow to further aspects contributing to growth in those regions. So it's really important that as men and women, or however you tend to identify or prefer to identify, that we fully understand that the economic participation of everyone remains very critical. So these are just some of the themes that we have been touching on the show. But share your views with us as always. 063-688-0959. It's 19 minutes to 8 o'clock. When we come back, we'll tell you what to anticipate on Point of View.